Welcome back to another episode of Bitfinex Talks. I'm your host, Ricardo Martinez. Today, I'm here with Lalo Bazzi, co-founder of Onomy. Lalo, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking. Thanks for coming on the show also.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Lalo, my first question for you is, what is Onomy for those who don't know?
Sure. So Onomy is a vertically integrated ecosystem meant to converge Forex and decentralized finance.
Can you talk a little bit about the different parts of the Onomy ecosystem? I was on the website and I saw there's several different components to the ecosystem.
Sure. I think it's best to set some context as well to understand why we took this route. Essentially, when we first started Onomy, our fundamental thesis was that all of the world's national currencies will be represented on the blockchain through stablecoins. So that means more than just the US dollar, we'll have the euro, yen, RMB, Swiss francs, so on and so forth. And what we saw was the growth of the stablecoin market cap by billions over billions over billions, month over month over month. And we truly believe that it's going to open up a massive market opportunity to serve the exchange of those currencies on the blockchain in a multi-trillion-dollar total market cap for all stablecoins. So naturally, we had to think about what's the best approach to provide the tools, infrastructure, and products necessary to afford the experience for this to be successful on the blockchain. And that's what led us to building a vertically integrated ecosystem, because it can be designed specifically to support each segment of that ecosystem, as opposed to leveraging different pieces from different places. And so that's what led to the ecosystem approach. What it consists of is a layer one blockchain that's able to scale, a bridge hub that can connect different blockchains so we can enable cross-chain trading and things like this. And then also an exchange to be built on top of that, and a non-custodial mobile wallet to make it very easy to manage all of your assets from different chains. And so that's the ecosystem that we've built, and it's fine-tuned and tailored for Forex.
The Forex market is one of the biggest markets for trading in the world. A lot of decentralized exchanges that are out right now on Web3 have poor user experience. There's lots of slippage. It's just clunky when it's matching orders. How is Onomy providing a DEX that will provide an experience that's comparable to existing centralized Forex exchanges?
Perfect question. And this is a question that we asked ourselves when we were designing the DEX. There's really two major items in the decentralized exchange area that are of extreme importance. One is that you see decentralized order book exchanges getting tons of volume. And the reason why is because that's a really familiar experience that traders from centralized venues and even traditional finance just are familiar with and operate on. So all of these strategies that they're familiar with deploying onto exchanges are through order books. They have conditional orders placed. They have things like TradingView. They have more advanced APIs. And so we wanted to assure that we have an order book experience that can provide all of these different tools for the traditional trader. But on the other end, you need tons of liquidity to be successful with your exchange. And if you have only an order book, you can only open up the liquidity and the earnings from that liquidity to advanced market makers who have very sophisticated setups that can pull and add quotes to both sides of the books to market make. In decentralized finance, there was this innovation that in the crypto space, everyone is aware of, automated market makers that open up liquidity pools for anyone in the world to provide their capital to this automated market maker and get a share of the fees generated from the AMM fulfilling all the trades. And so what we did was we built a hybrid exchange that has an order book interface that looks and operates, feels and functions just like a traditional exchange with an order book, but we were able to retain the AMM for each pair. And what that means is we can incentivize liquidity from the entire industry of liquidity providers that has been built up through the AMM. And so we uniquely bring to market a decentralized exchange that has both an order book and an AMM. And that's the design that we feel like is going to be significant. And we add in additional features into that we can get into, like the cross-chain native trading, and the way that the AMM makes money is a little bit different as well. One major item that I'll just quickly bring up now is that the AMM currently is not designed to charge a static fee to the user. So it's a lot more capital efficient to trade on the Onomy exchange. The way that the AMM makes money instead of charging a static fee is by capturing the spread in the order book between the AMM price and the order book limit price. So it's able to generate capital itself, and that capital is used for two things. One is to provide earnings to the LPs who provided their capital to the pool. And then another portion of those earnings is going to be used to programmatically buy and burn the native NOM token. So that's going to be excellent as well. There's kind of this deflationary effect from that. So all that's to say, we've put a lot of effort into designing the exchange in a way that's going to be unique and differentiated from the market to attract both institutional and retail traders as well.
You mentioned the Arc Bridge Hub several times. I want to get into that, but as far as like interacting with other chains, Onomy is what are you guys using for smart contracts? Are you guys using like an EVM compatible blockchain, or how's that work?
Yep. So we are built with Cosmos, and we use IBC, which is the inter-blockchain communication protocol, to connect with other Cosmos chains. IBC is starting to connect with additional chains outside of Cosmos, which is great. But in the meantime, what we've done is integrated EVM chains like Polygon and Avalanche and Aurora from Near and Neon from Solana, more to be announced. But those are integrated into the Arc Bridge Hub. It operates as a hub and spoke model, which means that Onomy is the hub and all the spokes are the different chains. And what you're able to do is trade natively across all chains that are integrated into our hub on our DEX. You can also bridge. One very cool thing that we did as well is oftentimes in the bridging space, when users bridge an asset, it's up to them to decide what to do next. It kind of just drops the bridged asset into their wallet, and then they have to decide what to do. There's a lot of very standard flows when people are bridging. One of them is a cross-chain trade. And when a user is attempting to do a cross-chain trade right now, they have to approve 3 separate transactions in their wallets to do so. So you need to approve a bridge transaction, then you need to approve the actual trade, and then you need to approve another bridge once more. We are working with Strangelove and Jack Zampolin and amazing guys over there on a swap and forward feature, which essentially consolidates all of that into just one approval for that entire process. And so these efficiencies are order of magnitudes better than the existing solutions at the market today. And so that's how we work with EVM chains. We integrate them into our product set. That includes not just the bridge, but the exchange and also the Access mobile wallet as well, which we can speak about.
You mentioned the NOM token. Can you briefly discuss the tokenomics and the issuance behind the NOM token?
Sure. So the NOM token is the native coin for the Onomy network. It's used to provide staking rewards for delegators and validators, secures the network. It's used for governance. It's used for eventually collateral mechanisms that we'll release more documentation on. And it's also the buy and burn from the AMM that I mentioned. You can also use it as gas to send transactions and to pay for the bridge fees for bridging. So a lot of usage and utility for the NOM token. And one important aspect is on the governance side. We put a concerted effort to make Onomy as decentralized as possible from day one. And we look to expand that as we kind of build out through the Onomy DAO. So the Decentralized Autonomous Organization, or the DAO for short, is managing an on-chain treasury. And that's managed by the NOM token as your governance right. And it's all votes on any governance proposal to the DAO to manage the funds in the treasury, let's say, are weighted in how many NOM you own. And so the reason why that's important is because a lot of crypto teams today have some founding team or foundation or entity that centrally manages, upward of half the supply or more. And that's in their wallet that they have the keys to. And so even if they say they're going to take proposals from the DAO or governance on actions to do, they're still centrally controlling it. And so what we wanted to do was find a way to be completely transparent on chain and in the mantra of decentralization, place that entire treasury on the blockchain. The team, me as a co-founder, no entity, no foundation has the keys to it. It's all on the blockchain. And It can only be used or allocated or distributed out of through successful governance proposals voted on by all token holders.
Can you give me an example of what kind of proposals are being voted upon by people using the token for governance?
Sure, that's a great question. So on the technical side, let's say there is some parameter of the blockchain that we want to change. You could essentially vote for a parameter update, and that will happen programmatically once it's voted in by the DAO. On the more kind of side that can be related to by a lot more people is, let's say that you have an initiative or a feature request, or maybe you have a marketing plan, you'd like to make some videos for Onomy. What you're able to do is, instead of traditionally going to like a company to get employed or get a contract, what you can do is actually submit a proposal directly to the DAO and include a funding request for X amount of NOM tokens or anything out of the DAO to, go ahead and start a marketing initiative or create a series of videos explaining how to use Onomy products, let's say, for example. And in that request, you specify the amount that you would like, your plan, yada, yada, so on and so forth. And the entire community can vote whether or not to fund you. And if your governance proposal gets accepted, then you will essentially programmatically receive however many funds you requested out of the DAO straight to your wallet. And that happens programmatically without any central management. So all that's to say, in summary, you can update parameters on the blockchain. You can submit feature requests, or let's say you're a developer who wants to get funded to work on something or an integration or marketing. You go ahead and submit proposals to the DAO, and the DAO votes on it.
We've seen in 2022 the proliferation of a whole slew of different Web3 blockchains. Why did you guys settle on Cosmos instead of AVAX or Ethereum or Solana or another chain?
That's a great question. So in the blockchain space, there's really a monolithic culture that believes that everything is going to be deployed to this one winning blockchain. And then there's a separate kind of thesis, which is along this application-specific blockchain thesis, which is that essentially all products and applications are going to have their own blockchain, and they're all going to be hyper-connected through these bridges or IBC or whatever it may be. And that's more aligned with how the internet works today. We're not all connecting to like one major server. We all have our own computers, and we're all hyper-connected. And so Onomy aligns more with this application-specific thesis, where all the bandwidth for your blockchain goes to support your applications and your products. And then you can be hyper-connected with everyone else through the bridges. And on top of that, it really affords a lot of features that you can't do elsewhere. So for example, if we deployed our exchange only to Solana or Ethereum, let's say, but we wanted the validators, which are the entities and firms that are independent from each other that process the transactions on the blockchain. And essentially, we cannot force the Ethereum validator set or whatever it may be to do specific actions for our product specifically. One example of that is storing the order book in memory. This is an example that's kind of talked about recently with DYDX coming to Cosmos. They left Ethereum, and they can make their own validator set do this for them, but they can't force all of Ethereum's or Solana's or whomever to customize, their actions for their specific purpose. And so application-specific chains are a truly great innovation and kind of like step change in blockchain design, to where you can truly build out fully custom ecosystems. And it goes back to our vertical integration thesis, to where that's necessary to provide the user experience that you would want to afford to users of your ecosystem. So Cosmos was a natural fit, and they've really got a ton of developer talent in there. They've actually delivered completely on their white paper that they wrote many years back, which is rare for a lot of 2017 projects. And now they have like another kind of step change, improving IBC, different things with interchain security. They're doing really great things. So Cosmos was a natural fit for us, fit with our thesis, and helps us build out our ecosystem.
In this application-specific blockchain model, is Onomy like the base layer, and then these chains are on top of it? How does that work?
Correct. So Onomy is its own layer 1 blockchain, and then all the other blockchains that were deploying on or working with or integrating, they'll essentially be integrations, so that way we can speak to them through the bridges, which are essentially communication protocols. And so Onomy is its own layer one, and then all the other EVMs and different chains will be integrated into the product set, so that way you can trade their assets on the exchange or have them integrated into the Access mobile wallet, so that way you don't need a bunch of different wallets per individual chain. You just need the Access mobile wallet on iOS and Android, and you're able to manage assets from all of these different blockchains from one place. More in tune with how fintech operates. It's very intuitive, doesn't need you to go to 1,000 places. We need to bring that experience to Web3. And so that's how we operate with the other chains, and Onomy being truly the hub of all of that.
All right. Since you brought up the wallet, let's talk about the wallet. What kind
Sure.
of capabilities does the wallet have? How is it different than a traditional crypto wallet?
Sure. So traditional wallets typically are targeted towards one specific blockchain. And so you'll need multiple wallets to operate on multiple networks. So when you go to make a cross-chain trade, for example, you have to connect a wallet from Ethereum and a wallet from another one, and then you have to, accept and approve on both sides. Kind of a frustrating experience, a little bit annoying, even for crypto natives. It's not the best experience, and everyone knows this. To make matters worse, a lot of these are extensions on a browser, and if you have friends in traditional finance, they're not really comfortable placing a lot of funds on a browser extension, right? But in the fintech world, everyone's accustomed to these fintech applications, whether it be their banking app, Fidelity, any brokerage, even Venmo. They can just sign on. They're accustomed to having their funds in there, and they can use it just like normal. So taking that approach, we wanted to consolidate all the features that are necessary for Web3 into a mobile wallet instead of an extension. And the way that you connect with dApps or decentralized applications is by scanning a QR code, and it'll load up all of your assets, all your connections. You connect and approve or deny transactions from your mobile device instead of needing the browser. So it really improves the user experience. And then as far as the features within the apps, a lot of the very Web3 native aspects, things like staking, governance, managing your NFT portfolio, obviously transferring the assets, sending, receiving, all of that is within the mobile app. So you don't need to hop between all of these different applications to experience Web3. You can do it from the Access mobile app, which acts as a hub, multi-chain, non-custodial, so you retain custody of your funds. And we believe that's going to be another step change in the user experience to onboard more users to Web3 and DeFi.
As far as the stable coins go that you're using for the different Forex pairs, how are these being issued and minted? And how are you guys deciding what pairs you're going to add to the exchange?
Yep, that's a great question as well. So on the stablecoin side, we have two routes that we'll be taking. One is with the existing stablecoins in the market today. So that includes USDT, which is most dominant across both market cap and volumes. And the idea is to create markets or pairs with USDT or the Euro version, and so on and so forth. And we can also include things like USDC, BUSD. So using existing markets and existing liquidity today, we can create those Forex markets. But on the other end, Onomy believes that there's going to be different segments in the stablecoin market to where people are going to prefer to use, let's say, USDT, or they'll prefer to use a decentralized stablecoin alternative like DAI, or they'll prefer to use maybe even a CBDC if they're an institution and they're only, let's say, regulations go in the way of institutions can only use CBDCs. We're not sure where stablecoin legislation is going to go, but what we can all admit is that there's going to be different participants in the market that prefer a certain type of stablecoin. And so Onomy's mission is to provide access and opportunity for all of that liquidity to be used. So on one end, we'll be using existing stablecoins. On the other end, we believe in the decentralized aspect of stablecoins, self-custody. There's no ability to kind of have some central issuer control things outside of your purview. And so things like MakerDAO have been really inspirational to us. And we get advisement from the guys who really bootstrapped the Maker protocol at the Maker Foundation. So we're working with them to create a sustainable, decentralized stablecoin that is crypto collateralized. We do not agree with a fully algorithmic model. Maybe it's possible in future, but to date, none of them have worked. But crypto collateralization can work if done right. And so this is an initiative that's going to be worked on through the DAO. Proposals are going to be made to the Onomy DAO about the stablecoin design and mechanisms, collateral used, and the DAO, all token holders, can vote on the end design and the end product of what Onomy's issued stablecoins come out to be. But in the meantime, like I said, we can use the existing liquidity from Tether, let's say.
As far as the big players in the Forex market, the investment funds and the traders and stuff like that, how are they responding to Onomy so far?
It's a matter of when, not if, and it's mostly to do with compliance and regulatory reasons of what they're waiting on. They all agree that this is going to be a massive market. It doesn't take a genius to look at the chart. It's up and to the right. So, like, obviously that's boiling it down to very simple terms. But stablecoin market cap entering the trillions is an inevitability. It's not an if. And so the question is how can we properly regulate this space for institutions to feel comfortable coming in, because their hands are often tied by regulatory red tape. And so one of the items is these permission pools aspects. Some other DeFi protocols like Aave have these professional versions of their tools, of their apps for permission pools, so that way institutions can get involved and KYC is done and these sorts of things. Now, on the other end, the decentralized aspect is extremely important to us, and we want to build out applications that facilitate access and democratize access to these applications for anyone. But if we're talking specifically about the institutions, they're all very excited about this. It's a major opportunity. Everyone wants to get involved, and it's going to be fluid as well as voted on by the DAO of what aspects we include to kind of incentivize more institutional funds to get involved in the space. I've had direct conversations with a lot of the funds in the space who want to get more involved into DeFi. And the major concern that I'm seeing is compliance and regulatory. But outside of that, everyone's extremely excited. Many of them have side pockets or pilots that they're getting involved anyway. And so we're building with kind of feedback to understand what mechanisms need to be in place for them to get involved on a meaningful level as soon as possible.
You mentioned the incredible growth of stablecoins over the last year or two in the crypto market. Why do you think stablecoins are so important for the cryptocurrency market?
Stablecoins have the strongest product market fit for any crypto technology currently in the mainstream. Some crypto natives can argue for different aspects, but on a whole, institutional investors, traditional finance see a direct and have adopted the usage of stablecoins because they really embody the fundamental technological improvements that blockchain affords: instant settlement, cross-border payments. You can trade between multiple currency types very easily, and it really is just a step change better than the SWIFT system. Back in the day, there was a lot of kind of understanding of what this technology can do, but stablecoins have really driven it forward and have multi-$100 or $100 billion market cap, which is going to enter into the trillions, simply because they're very easy to use and get rid of the volatility concern. It's almost like a Trojan horse into crypto. So for people and institutions who are concerned with the volatility of crypto, you can take advantage of all the inherent technological upgrades and improvements that it provides without having to worry about extreme volatility. As long as you're staying away from some experimental algorithmic stablecoins, right? But on a whole, it's very attractive.
We discussed the Arc Bridge Hub earlier, but do you want to give us like a more in-depth
Sure.
description of what it does?
Sure. So the Arc Bridge Hub was Onomy's approach to the bridging world, because oftentimes we've seen so many exploits of bridges. The security is not that great. And typically it's because it's operated on what's known as a multi-sig wallet that is held by maybe 2 or 3 people. So there could be a 2 of 5 multi-sig to where if you get the keys or compromise 2 of them, you have access to the entire bridge and can exploit it. We wanted to get away from this model of having the same team operate a bridge. And so the design of the Arc Bridge Hub takes on the security profile of the entire validator set of Onomy's layer 1. So every validator is, in addition to running a validator node for Onomy's layer 1, they're operating nodes on every single connected and integrated chain into the bridge. And the only way that it can get hacked or compromised is if you compromise 2/3 of the entire validator set. And so the resiliency is much stronger that way because these validators are independent firms situated around the globe. And on top of that, as we expand the validator set, that resiliency gets stronger and stronger and stronger and more decentralized. And so that's a major reason why we decided to build out Onomy, really, and all its contributors around the globe have built out this bridge instead of using other people's bridges. We really wanted to take on this new approach to the security model.
That's a great explanation, because some of the largest hacks this year have been liquidity bridges.
Absolutely.
We're wrapping up 2022. What can we expect from Onomy for the year of 2023?
2023, great things coming, a lot on the roadmap. I'm expecting a lot of engagement in the DAO for new features, applications, integrations. The business development team, which is as well contributors around the globe, are getting just influxes of messages now because we made recent announcements. We stood up the mainnet, it's live. So the layer 1 is now operating. The initial bridge to Ethereum is live. And through 2023, what we're going to be doing is integrating more bridges to more chains. And we're also going to be releasing the first versions of the decentralized exchange, our bridge hub, and the Access mobile wallet. And from there on, just expect more integrations, features, marketing campaigns. We're really excited about what's to come and invite anyone out there who wants to get involved. Go to the forum, go to our social media, go to our Discord, Telegram, whatever it may be. It's all community operated, and you'll find people to guide you to the right place. And also make proposals as well, because we want to see everyone get involved.
Earlier this week, you guys celebrated the mainnet going live, and there's an event that's scheduled for next week. Do you guys want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So that is the bonding curve offering. And what that is the first public distribution, the first way that the public can get their hands on the NOM token and use it for all of its utility. The reason why we opted for a bonding curve mechanism is because in the traditional kind of initial launch model, what you're doing is you're selling these tokens and then people just kind of sit around and wait for an exchange listing. We wanted to stay away from that completely, make sure products were actually functional for tokens to be used. And instead of us directly just taking the money, it sits in the bonding curve contract, which is an AMM. What that means is that there's instant liquidity. And so it's this continuous token design to where as users come in to purchase the NOM token from the bonding curve, there's liquidity on the other side. So if they wanted to sell, they could, or they can bridge that NOM token from Ethereum, because that's where the bonding curve is deployed, to the Onomy network and start using it for all of its purposes. The governance, bridging, they can send it over wherever they want and basically get used to it that way. So all that's to say, the bonding curve is the public distribution method, and it requires Ethereum to purchase the NOM token. And then that Ether stays within the bonding curve AMM contract to provide liquidity. And you can take the bonding NOM that you're purchasing and bridge it over to the native network and start using it for all of its purposes, send it to exchanges, send it to your wallets, whatever you would like to do.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you about the Onomy project that you feel is important for our listeners to know?
I think you did a really fantastic job at asking me some great questions, and I hope I provided comprehensive answers. What I will kind of hammer home is the fact that Onomy is functioning as a decentralized protocol, and it's a true experiment in how we can operate these decentralized autonomous organizations efficiently. What that means is there's no centralized entity managing any of this, all the way down to the buy and burn from the exchange. We're really codifying all of these rules that are traditionally done through companies and corporations and placing all of that into the DAO's hands. And so just really want to make it clear that it's all there. Get involved in our socials, submit proposals to the DAO. And if people like what you're doing great things, you're going to get funded out of the DAO. And so that's just really exciting. It's a new way of operating in this world, and it welcomes the global contributors. Very efficient that way. So we're excited to see how that progresses, and would love to kind of get everyone's feedback on the designs that are being implemented as well. So whether you're a developer, marketer, community member, Onomy's here for you, even validators. So go ahead and get involved, guys. It's all here.
All right. So if someone wanted to get involved, could you tell them how they could do that? And then also, how can they follow you on social media?
Sure. So you can join our Discord at discord.gg/Onomy. You can join the Telegram t.me/Onomy protocol. Our Medium has a fantastic base of educational articles about what Onomy is and Onomy's take on Web3 and future trends, and our Twitter at Onomy protocol as well. So go to our socials, shoot in some messages. There's contributors and community members that are moderating those communities, and they'll guide you in the right place.
Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today and answering all my questions, Lalo.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Great time. And we love Bitfinex. So excited to work with you guys, and I appreciate it. Thank you.